I was reading the book you can see on screen earlier in the week, and it got me thinking about what kind of football manager I would be in real life. For most of us, FIFA Career Mode is as close as we'll get to finding out, but that's no reason not to implement our own ideas in a unique way. In today's video, I'll be talking through some of the most common managerial styles in real life and telling you how you can implement them into your FIFA Career Mode. It's obvious that Ajax are the most notable team to follow a youth-focused ethos. The main goal of the academy is to have 3 players progress into the first team every 2 seasons, and usually they manage to do it. 30% of all players in the Dutch top division have played with Ajax Academy at some point in the past. If you're interested in becoming a manager who loves bringing youth players through, it isn't all about getting the best potential into your youth academy. If you want to keep it a little bit more true to life, then you should be looking at certain aspects of each player's game that you want to develop to suit your first team tactics. For example, Ajax play a very free-flowing football, as they have done for decades. An academy scout at Ajax will look at 5 key areas in each youth player: ball control, positioning, movement, personality, and technique, as they're all super important and an easy way to measure and compare youth players' talents. One of the unforeseen issues with going heavily into youth development is also having to be willing to let developed players leave. Not only will you have to generate money to keep the academy going, but you also need spaces in your squad for potentially better players to emerge and eventually improve the situation. If you still want to become a youth-focused manager, make sure you accept any good bids that come in for slightly older players, make sure you can give chances to younger players who might not be the best in that position, and make sure you're able to identify which players would suit your squad and formation. On FIFA, this usually means going by overall, but if you want to go hardcore, why not ignore potential and overall and just pick players who have stats in the areas you need? For example, if you're playing long ball, you should probably disregard any centre-backs with low passing stats and release small, weak strikers because they won't fit in no matter how good their overall or potential seems to be. It might be hard to keep a 55 rated striker when you're releasing your 63 rated talent who doesn't quite fit in, but that's how it goes in real life too. You see it all the time where players are released and gone on to be superstars elsewhere. Harry Kane didn't have the athleticism that Arsenal wanted as an 8-year-old. Jamie Vardy was judged to be too small by Sheffield Wednesday. And likewise, Champions League winners Frank Ribery and Javier Zanetti were both also judged to be too weak by Independiente and Lille respectively. It can be hard to become the world's football talent developer, having to let go of players you're attached to and sell players that might be stars of your team. But the rewards that come with developing at any club can be tremendous. Of course, Ajax are probably the most realistic team for this kind of ethos, but others like Barcelona, Sporting Lisbon, Southampton, Schalke, and even lower league teams in almost every league will have slightly different views on how it should be done. So why not read up on some of these examples and give it a try in your next career mode save. While it's always good to see a young local talent in the first team, nothing can make an instant impact on an entire city like an international superstar joining an unlikely team. It doesn't matter if they're returning to their former clubs or if they're interested in trying out a different league, it's always exciting to see this happen in real life. The MLS has a big reputation for doing this over the years. David Beckham, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Robbie Keane, Jermaine Defoe, and Thierry Henry all moved over to the MLS at the tail ends of their careers. But one team in particular seems to be a favourite for this kind of player, LA Galaxy. With Beckham, Ibrahimovic, Keane, Gerrard, and Ashley Cole all being FIFA legends or soon to be a FIFA legend, having all played for this Los Angeles-based team, the Galaxy are the team that likes to blend Hollywood with soccer. It isn't all just fame and fortune though, this strategy actually has been very successful for the Galaxy. In 2011 and 2012, Keane and Beckham were both instrumental in helping them win back-to-back MLS trophies, and the arrival of Ibrahimovic helped them progress from finishing last in 2017 to a top 10 finish in 2019. If you're interested in using big name players at a smaller club, it's actually quite easy to play like this on FIFA Career Mode. Older players seem to have very low values compared to their ability. You've probably seen players like Buffon having a value of £0 despite having a rating in the low 80s. Just like going for a youth-only save, going for a higher reputation older player save does need a similar level of talent spotting. There's no point spending huge amounts of money on a 33-year-old with 25 pace. No matter the league, they're not going to be effective even if they are 85 rated. The hardest part of finding older players is finding people who have the ability despite their age. One example of a player who's still effective despite being older is Jesus Navas, who's always been absolutely rapid throughout his career mode. However, he started getting slightly slower, so he started moving further back. If you take his stats on FIFA 16, you can see he's a 29-year-old with 91 pace. If you look at players who are similar to this on FIFA 22, you get people like Salah, Neymar and Mane, who you know are still all going to be more than good enough to play in the MLS even when they're 35. That's the hardest part about going for big name signings. You can start scouting them 2 to 3 years before you sign them, but you're going to have to wait for them to get older and their values to start decreasing. One of the most fun parts about playing a career in this way on FIFA is that you get to use some players you might not ever actually see at the club in real life. Personally, I had an MLS career mode with a team like Vancouver. I signed older players, Olivier Giroud, Andre Pierre Gignac, both to play at front. Not only because they're fun players to use, but I like the players in real life, and I've never really used them outside of this type of career mode. Why don't you challenge yourself to start trying a FIFA career mode where you only sign players over 28 years old? Maybe start out in the MLS and see if you can bring your team of older players to success one last time before they retire. Of course, it's not just the MLS that signs players that are past their peak. A lot of teams in Portugal like to re-sign former players, and both teams in Milan also have big reputations for signing big name players and stretching their careers as far as they can go. There's lots of opportunity for this kind of save, and personally I really enjoy it, so why not see if your managerial style matches well with older players and give it a go on your next FIFA Career Mode save. The final ethos we're going to talk about is Moneyball. Now you might know this for a movie which has the same name in Moneyball that has Brad Pitt starring in it as Billy Bean. Well, Billy Bean actually currently invests in Barnsley Football Club in the Championship in England. A basic run through of what Moneyball is trying to find players who are undervalued compared to their skill. For example, if you've got a team that produces lots and lots of crosses, you'll want your wingers to be the best possible crossers and the strikers in the middle to be the best possible headers of the ball. They might be underrated because they're injury prone, they might be underrated because they have a little pace or maybe can't pass, but as long as they're really good in the air and can finish off all the crosses you're producing, that player is worth more to you than they probably are for most other football teams. If you're doing this on FIFA, of course it's a lot easier to do because every single player has a stat that can be easily compared to other players in the database. For example, if you're playing as Burnley, they have a good player at front, Wout Weghorst, who's amazing at heading the ball in the net. You get two good wingers, so you just need to search for players with high crossing stats and high pace, get the ball in as much as possible, and you can say you've maybe sort of half implemented the Moneyball ethos. I think Burnley would be a good one to do this with because they don't have a big value, they're struggling in real life and probably going to fall out of the Premier League, and I think that it's possibly the least Sean Dyche thing you can possibly think of. So maybe try and implement Moneyball to Burnley and have a pretty good FIFA career mode next time you decide to start a new one. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you're going to use any of these in any of your future career modes, please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you've got any suggestions for other ways that you think you should play the game, or you play the game in your career modes, why not let us know, because I love to read it, and I know everyone watching the video would also love to read it. Thank you for watching this video, hopefully you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more FIFA Career Mode stuff on YouTube, like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you very soon for another video. Thank you, and goodbye.